Stories to lift each other, give hope to push us further, and encourage one another. Behind the scenes beauty.
Tabitha Brown is a prime example that God's delay is definitely not his denial. To some, Tabitha was just an internet sensation, but in actuality, Tabitha Brown has been preparing her whole life for this very moment. Tabitha studied acting in grade school, as well as doing community theater in her hometown of Eden, North Carolina. She later moved to LA and landed parts in independent films and shows such as Will and Grace. But after becoming a vegan in order to try to conquer an unknown illness, her whole life changed when she did a video that went viral about a sandwich from Whole Foods. This wife and mother of three later became an influencer for the brand. She later went on to have her own seasonings. She wrote a book called Feeding the Soul. She has her own children's show on YouTube Originals called Tab Time. She launched her own line of clothing and home goods at Target. And she made an appearance as an actor on shows such as The Conners and Showtime's The Shy. She has a hair care product called Donna's Recipe. She even has a show on the Food Network called Complicated. And she has just released her very own cookbook called Cooking from the Spirit. Tabitha shows us that you can conquer anything with just a word from the Lord. All right, so this episode of Behind the Scenes Beauty is special to me because this young lady feels like a little piece of home. I was reading her book and it took me back to everything that I grew up, from my church to the people in your neighborhood, all of that stuff. We have with us, she's an actress, she's an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a comedian, she's all things to all people. She's everybody's mama, she's their marriage coach, she's everything. We have with us Tabitha Brown.
Aw, thank you.
How are you?
I'm amazing.
We have with us Tabitha Bonita Brown. When I would hear you read that in your book, because I was listening to it audible, that was so hilarious to me, because I said, oh, she really from down where I'm from. Because I'm from Virginia.
Yes.
And you're from Eden, North Carolina.
Right.
And
right there on the border.
Yeah. So we where I'm from is like 40 minutes. But whenever we go to Greensboro, we got to go right by your house. And so it's very interesting. We were just talking earlier about all the little stuff we grew up. She used to come to this little store called Value City.
Honey, that's where I did all my back to school shopping, holiday shopping, put everything on layaway. Okay.
That was when layaway was the thing.
You had to go put everything on layaway, go make your payments, get all the stuff out, for school and for the holidays. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay, so on Behind the Scenes Beauty, the real purpose of the show is for us to talk about the beauty of the journey. Mm-hmm. You had in your book, your first book, you talk about really basically your journey that you had as in your career, where everybody thought you were this overnight wonder. But they failed to realize there was 23 years in between over and night.
Right, exactly. I'd be like, it's 24 hours or 24 years, however you want to look at it. But
So I do want to delve, because like I said, I know you probably talked this story so many times, but I do want to tell the people a little bit about your beginnings. And like, you're from Eden, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Born and raised.
You have siblings?
One sister.
Okay.
Yeah, one sister, Tasha.
Okay, and so you grew up in a two-parent household?
Yes, until I was in the 9th grade.
Okay.
And my parents separated.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was growing up in Eden, North Carolina like for you?
It was really good. Right? I mean, it's country living. I lived in Stoneville. Okay. That's where where my home was. You went to school and everything in Eden.
Right.
But I lived in Stoneville, which is the country.
Right.
And so, we had a pond in the backyard, over in the circle. So I wasn't vegan growing up, so I was fishing and I was in the woods, and I was doing all the things. I loved being outside. That's when kids really like to play outside. Mm-hmm. I was a tomboy, so I was climbing trees. I was playing football. I was catching lightning bugs. I was, catching turtles. I was doing anything I could to be outside. I just love being outside. And I spent a lot of time with my not my great, but my great grandfather, which was my granny's daddy on my mama's side. And so I spent a lot of times like going to farms and being around the animals, and I always really had a love for animals. Uh-huh. It's so funny that now I would be vegan, of course, but So I spent a lot of time doing that, like hearing old people talk and telling stories. Spent a whole lot of time at church. Right. Grew up in the church. Even when my mom and daddy won't go into church, they won't say. They won't send you. They sent us to church, right? They won't say, but they said we're gonna have to look out for these children. They gonna send you. Yeah, exactly. So I always went to church with my granny. And Sunday school, Bible study, all of that. That's where I learned to play the tambourine and do all those things. I think I talk about that too in my book with my granddaddy John. And then, school was great. It's a small town, so everybody went to the same school, really. But that's where I learned to, perform and do theater and theater arts and musicals and all that stuff. And I probably have worked. I always tell people, a Tab is never, ever ashamed of work. Right. I love work. Mm-hmm. I probably started working when I was about 6 years old. And my job was working with my granddad, emptying the trashes at the church, or cleaning out the ashtrays at offices, because that's where he used to clean office buildings, and he would clean the church, and my daddy would clean the post office. So that was they night jobs. So we would have to go with him, and my job would either be clean the ashtrays. That's when people used to smoke at their desk at work, in their office. So at first I thought you was talking about they was smoking, because in Baptist churches, they go outside and they smoke. So well, listen. In the country, they be standing right outside. They will take a smoke break. Right, and so because the Lord don't see them outside. That's what they be thinking. But no, so I spent a lot of time learning work ethic at a very young age. Mm-hmm. So then by the time I was, 15, I was working at Taco Bell. I worked at Winn-Dixie. Y'all had Winn-Dixie. Yes, we had a Winn-Dixie. That was my first, after Taco Bell, it was Winn-Dixie, and then it was It's
I actually worked at Winn-Dixie too.
Yes, honey, that was my job right there, okay? And then when I was I want to do something in fashion, so I need a better job. I started working at It's Fashion. That was the little clothing store, kind of like Cato's. We had sure did. We had a It's Fashion too. And I did that. So, that's where you go get your club clothes. And listen, that's where you would have got them club clothes, honey. You got to go to Club Zero, go to Greensboro on Tuesday nights in the summertime. But, it was all about family and friends. It was very small, but I had a great childhood. I love where I'm from. All my family is still there in Eden and Reedsville. How often do you go back to visit? Shoot, I just came back. Oh, really? 5 or 6 times a year, really. Okay. Yeah, I'm there very often. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I was reading your book and you were talking about wanting to act, because for me too, when we come from these small towns, there is no blueprint to that stuff. We don't have, people that are doing this, so we this is how we start. Right. So first of all, how did you even acknowledge this gift of wanting to be an actress, and then where do you go from there? Well, for me, it started very young, right? From watching the Cosby Show, growing up, and I used to tell my mom I want to be Rudy's friend. I want to be, the person that ring the doorbell next and come in. I want to say something, and then I want to come home. So she was like, "Oh, that means you want to be an actress." And so from that very young age, hearing actress, I was like, "Oh, I got to figure out how to be an actress." So I remember I had a music teacher named Miss Stanley. And I remember going to school that next week and telling her, "Miss Stanley, I want to be an actress." My mama said, I want to be an actress. And so she was like, "Oh." So she started putting me in all the little lead roles or giving me, lines in the school plays and stuff. And so I did musicals and did all that anytime it was available. I did that in church plays. I always volunteered. I wanted to always be in front of the camera or, whatever I could do. And then community theater happened, high school, I was in drama, and then I got introduced to community theater. I did community theater, and then back in the day, they used to, and I every now and then I still hear them, and I be like, "Lord, they still do that." You hear on the radio, they be like, "Coming to Greensboro, Los Angeles or Hollywood scouting, John Casablanca, John. Oh, honey, all these things." And I would be begging my mom and daddy, "Mama, y'all got to take me. I got to go see, And we would go. Of course, it'd be scams, and they'd be trying to take your money, you to school. All that stuff. And Buster Brown actually went with me on one of them. It's so funny because even at that age, I was still trying to do it, early 20s. Okay, so let me explain. Buster Brown was a DJ on the radio for 102 Jams in Greensboro, North Carolina. Yes. And so that was our radio station and picked up in my part of Virginia. Right. So that's what she means. Michelle. And because I used to work with him too. She used to work with him. But I would try anything that I could. And I just knew I had this desire to perform. It was just inside of me. It wasn't something that anybody in my family ever did. It was nothing that I ever saw anyone personally do. It was just, which is how I know that that's what God had purpose for me, because it was just, even to this day, it lives inside of me. desire to entertain, to perform. If I go too long without doing it, it's like I don't feel well. I'd be like, something feel like it's missing because I haven't did the thing that lives inside of me. So I always, pursued it that way. And then when it was time for me to go to college, I was doing fashion in high school as well. I was making clothes. And so I went to school for fashion design for a little bit. But then I was like, this ain't it. Did I'm wasting your money. Come on, get me.
Right.
And I applied to Columbia College in Chicago for performing arts. Got accepted. But then didn't get, my financial aid wasn't approved. So I was like, Lord, I can't go to Chicago now. Now what I'm going to do? So I ended up moving to California in 98 and was just like, I ain't got no plan.
Right.
My mama knew somebody or didn't really know him, but moved out there. And I was in like Orange County, not in LA, nowhere near Hollywood.
Right.
And doing no acting. I was like struggling, working 2 jobs, this lady taking all my money. Right. Yeah.
You had the story. Everybody don't realize there's always the story that you got to go through to get there.
It'd be a struggle story. Okay.
When I was reading your book, it felt like you were very much so like in the Bible, thrown from pit. You were in the pit, the Potiphar's house to the prison, and then you finally made it to the palace. Like,
listen.
And hearing your story too, a lot of it is you are a prime example of the direction that God takes you is never the way you envision it. Because I could imagine you thought you would go to LA, you'd come across somebody would talk about how pretty you are and that you should be in movies and stuff.
I was like, they waiting on me out there. Because I done prepared my whole life for this, honey. Won't nobody waiting on tab.
But you get out, and so you end up getting pregnant with...
When we moved back to Greensboro.
Okay.
Right.
Because what made you go back to Greensboro?
Because we were living in Orange County, and the lady was taking all my money.
Gotcha.
And I was not anywhere close to LA. We couldn't even save.
Gotcha.
Because it was so expensive.
Gotcha.
And so Chance was like, babe, we need to move back to North Carolina because it's cheaper, and we can save up money for a year and then move to LA where you can really pursue your dreams. And that 1 year turned into 5 and ended up getting pregnant and was working jobs and got married, had a house, all those things.
So what was your mental state in that time? Because the way performing and being an actress is for you is so embedded in you. What are you thinking in these 5 years that time is going on? Because I just want to say, I know when we envision our life, we think it has to happen when we're young. Like it's something about youth and it happening at a certain time where you feeling like, your time is
we think we ain't got
away.
no time, honey. We just we be in such a rush for it to happen, and we don't even know anything.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I didn't even know myself.
Right.
But my mind was, in the first year, I really thought like, okay, we're gonna go back, and then as time went on, then after I got pregnant, I was just like, I missed out. I convinced myself of that. I was like, stop thinking about it because you can't do it now. I really believed that. I was like, you know how it is. You get pregnant young in a small town. You got a job. Y'all together, get married. Y'all got a little house. We had like a nice little 3-bedroom house we had found that we was renting out for $650 a month. It was like, okay, this us. Lord, if I can get $650 a month, Jesus.
Now, okay, Lord, break
for a
the
3-bedroom,
yes.
Lord, sign me up for it. But yeah, so we was just like, I convinced myself I couldn't have it no more. That I messed up, and so I was gonna have to be all right with it.
So when did you click?
It for me, it was when God woke me up one morning. It felt like an earthquake happened in Greensboro. My bed shook, and it startled me. I woke up and I heard a voice that sounded like thunder, and the voice said, "This is not the life I planned for you." And I was like scared, and I got on my knees and I started praying. I was like, God, if this is you speaking to me, I need you to show me a sign today, because if not, I think I'm losing my mind. And I told my husband what happened. I think he did think I was crazy. And later that day, we were on our way to the mall, and that's when Buster Brown came on the radio. And he said, "Hey, this is Buster Brown. I got a new TV show with the WB network, and I'm holding auditions looking for a female co-host." And I knew that was my sign. I went crazy in the car. I was like, that's my sign. I gotta go to this audition. And I went to the audition. I booked that job. And that was my first audition. And that's when I started dreaming again. So I was co-hosting and producing my own segments, interviewing celebrities when they would come to town. My first interview was LL Cool J.
Oh wow!
And
were you nervous?
You know what? I wasn't as much as nervous. I was like, I can't believe this is happening, type of thing, you know.
Right.
But nervous in like a good, like humble way.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I get to do this type of thing. And then as time went on, you know, I interviewed Nas, Lil' Kim, like anybody who came for homecoming or anything. It was like that was my job. Exactly. Okay. Come on, you know. Right.
I ain't even go to egg, but
right. Me either, but I'm honorary.
Right, we honorary.
Yeah, I went to enough homecoming.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I did that, and that's what opened up that gate inside of me to be like, oh wait, I can still dream. And I did that for a year, and then I told my husband it's time to go back to LA, because I started doing theater again in the community in Greensboro. I started going to Wilmington to do auditions. I got an agent in Greensboro. I was with Maryland's.
Okay.
That was the agency there, and
they were getting you legit work.
Yeah, they would. Yep, I started auditioning there, and I would go. You know, they would give me auditions. I had to go to Wilmington, sometime to Raleigh to go to the auditions. That was before self-tapes. Okay, I was driving hours. And then I also would go to Wilmington to do extra work on One Tree Hill.
Oh, wow.
Just so I could be on a set.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Lord, I need to know what it's like to be on a full production. Like, I need to see a real, true television show, how it works. Like, what does this guy do? What does this woman do? And so I would go, you know, I would drive 3 hours each way, right, to go and do extra work. So
when you tell Chance, you realize it's time to go to LA, and you tell Chance that it's time for y'all to move back, and Chance tells you, no, y'all ain't going.
Yeah, he was like, nah, babe, we can't do that.
So what do you say to, especially because where we come from again, we come from the South, where it's that whole, you know, you listen to the man because he's the, so how are you managing, like, okay, I'm trying to keep this relationship together, but at the same time, I know, how does that work?
Well, I just told, listen, I told Chance, I said, okay, well, listen, I don't know, first of all, I don't know what kind of money I thought I had, but I was like, you can stay here, and I'll go there, and I'll live both places. I'll come back and forth. And he said, no, we're not doing that. Right. I was like, but I have to go. Like, I've heard God speak to me. I've done all this stuff in this last year. Like, he is telling me something is calling me to Los Angeles, and I have to go. So he was like, all right, but we got to plan it. And so I was like, okay. So we put a plan together, and we saved up money for about like 6 or 8 months, and we had like $8,000.
Oh, wow.
And then we moved in 2004.
So I'm trying to, like, because your story is a deep story. There's so many parts. So I want to ask this question. What life lessons from your prior jobs, like the jobs you did, the Winn-Dixie, all of that stuff. I'm one of those people that feel like, for us that did not go to college, I didn't go to college, but we have life that becomes college for us.
That's right.
What are some of the things that you encountered that you feel like were large lessons for where you are now as far as it comes to this thing of Hollywood? Because you get to, you know, we're going to go back to that part, but I just wanted to know this part now. Like, you know, you experience Hollywood, and then you realize, like, oh, that was the reason why I went through this. Like, I used to be in the church, so and I was a youth pastor, so it taught me how to work with different personalities, how you have to speak to people, how you have to manage people, also working in a salon, you know, all of these different things. So when I got to LA, there was a different way I knew how to manage. What are some of those little lessons that you feel like when you look back, this is why I had to, since you've experienced Hollywood and in the space that you're in now?
I mean, it's a lot of different lessons. Ooh, too many to count. But I think the biggest one is realizing that I never really had to change who I was. You know, working in like corporate America, working in jobs. I worked in call centers and I worked at staffing agencies and contract manufacturing. I did shipping logistics. I did all these jobs, but I was always like conforming, and I would code switch and change my voice because most of the time I'm the only black or only black woman. I was just told I sounded ignorant or too country, so I was trying to like speak better or mask my accent, especially even when I got into acting in LA. I was told that. And so I realized that I never had to do that, right? This tab works.
Yeah.
Just being who I am.
Clearly.
Is fine. But I learned so many other things. Like I worked for a contract manufacturing company for like skincare and all these different products. And so I saw how it was manufactured. I saw how it was distributed. I saw how it was created, like all these different things, how to do testing. And it's all the things that I do now for my own business with Donna's Recipe, right? And I remember thinking when I used to be there, like, Lord, why you got me at this job? I feel so stuck. I want to be able to leave here so I can act full time. And God was he was like creating a journey for me so that I could look back and be like, oh, I know how to do this. I can create my own business and do this because I learned how to do this. That was my school.
Exactly.
Right? Because I was there for almost 5 years. So I learned a lot there. So yeah, that's one thing. And, but the conforming is really the biggest lesson I've ever learned in my life, to know that I don't have to do that no more.
And I love that about you because you are unapologetically Tabitha Brown. Yeah. Tabitha Bonita Brown.
Okay.
Does that get on your nerve when I do that?
No. How to go?
All right. Okay. So going back, so you end up moving to LA. Mm-hmm. You start to get in some roles. You start to feel like your career is picking up and everything.
Now, marriage is about communication. All right. And from what I gather, Tony, you don't communicate. Now, this woman will go to the end of the earth for you, and all she is asking you to do is keep her in the loop. Mm-hmm. That's right. Is that too much to ask? I mean, this woman bore children for you. Children she's now raising. While you off at work, buying pool tables.
See you. As a volunteer, you are not allowed to touch patients.
Of course, I understand.
You're here to observe and assist the physician on duty. In this case, Dr. Jackson.
Sorry, did you say Dr. Jackson?
Mm-hmm. He runs a free clinic downtown and fills in for us on Saturdays.
There he is. Me and my baby, we out here doing it. I want to take other people and bring them into where we at. Let them know that they can do the same. They can do the same thing.
Then you have a little dry spell, and then you start to get sick. Mm-hmm. And once again, it feels like you're definitely not going the direction that you should be going. Mm-hmm. And you talk about depression. How were you managing these depressed moments?
And I really wasn't managing it, right? Mm-hmm. I was faking it as much as I could. I spent a lot of time by myself, during the daytime, because I was on disability for a year.
Oh, wow.
And
so did you know it was depression? Did you realize, I think I'm, or?
Oh, yeah, because I realized that I was sad because it was two things. I was sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And the doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. And so I was sad about it. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever find out what it was? All you just know is?
Still to this day.
Oh,
They just told me they knew it was something autoimmune. Uh-huh. I had one doctor tell me, well, when we can't figure it out, we tell you that you have fibromyalgia. And I said, well, I ain't gonna just take a diagnosis because you can't figure it out. And so, because I remember when they told my mama she had fibromyalgia, and she ended up having ALS and she died from it.
Right.
And so I know they diagnose women with that a lot because they can't tell them what's wrong with them. Mm-hmm. And so, but no, I never figured it out. And the doctors never figured it out. And when you know something ain't right, but everybody telling you that you're fine, it does something to your mind. I mean, there was times I really thought oh, I'm gonna die. I got the same thing my mama had, because that your mind will start to tell you anything. And that caused me to go to a really dark space, mentally. And so I was seeing a therapist. And I was on medication, and I tried a couple different medications. And I always tell people, listen, you do your medicine if that's what you need to do.
Right.
But I also know that some medication, if you ain't already crazy, will take you there.
Gotcha.
Because, honey, they prescribed me something. I never remember the exact name. I know it began with a C, and it made me hallucinate. Oh, wow. And I was like, I called the doctor and was like, listen, if I ain't crazy, I'm going on this medication, so I can't take this.
I'm well on the way.
Exactly.
Please pull me off.
Right. So, that was my way of me thinking I was managing it. But I was just in a place where I slept a lot, because I spent a lot of time by myself. So my husband would go to work, he would work 10, 12 hours, and I would get up in the morning, and take my kids to school, and I would come back home and I would just lay all day until it was time to pick them back up. And I spent a lot of that time like sad and crying or angry or trying to figure it out. And then some days when I felt better, because every day wasn't always a bad day of like pain. So the days that I felt well enough, I would go hang out with Nick, my brother Nick, who I call my brother. And sometimes I would have enough energy to be like, I'm coming over to your house and we're gonna go on a walk. And I would get there and then I'd be like, I just need a few minutes and then we can go. And then I end up falling asleep on his couch. And so he has like pictures and stuff where, you know, he'll send me sometimes like, look at God, like look at how far you've come from this.
Right.
But it's sad a lot of times with depression. People don't like to talk about it, but it's more common than not. You know, we all go through stages of our life where things just don't feel well, which is why now, you know, when people be like, you can't be happy all the time, I'm like, you don't know where I've been.
So, yeah.
You don't know. I know what it's like to be angry, and I know what it's like to be sad. It ain't fun. I know that dark space. I don't want to go back there. So I choose joy. I choose happiness because I was at a place where I thought I was going to die. I was at a place where I thought I was never going to get well again.
Yeah.
And I made a promise to God, like, if you get me out of this, I'm always going to choose joy. If you bring me through this, and I'm intentional with that. I made a promise and I keep it. So.
Okay, so you're watching What the Health, and you get inspired to do the vegan challenge.
Yeah.
Or you bring it to your family, y'all do it, and you realize that you feel better.
Yeah.
And isn't that amazing though, how God, because I think how you don't think about the illness, but how the illness was necessary to get you to that place. To then take you to this place where you become this national sensation known for just trying to come up with something to eat. Because we were just saying something. I would love to be vegan if I could just find options. And like, I feel like it takes so much thought. Like, oh, that's got cheese in it. Oh, that's, so how do you get past that part?
Well, I think for me, it's, and I always tell people this, it starts with your why. Why do you want to be vegan?
Okay.
For me, it was life or death. And my why was strong enough for me to not look at it as hard, but for me to look at it as a solution.
Gotcha.
Right? For me. And if you start with your why, people do it for different reasons. Some people do it because they, you know, they want to be a little bit healthier. Some people do it for ethical reasons, for animals, for the planet. Some people be like, well, I just want to lose a little weight, you know, whatever. Some people just decide, I don't want to eat dead animals anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on.
When you put it that way, you don't want to eat dead animals.
Well, I'm just saying, because it's a mental thing for some people. Some people, they be like, they think about it and they're like, oh my God, I don't want to eat this, you know, this dead animal, right? I'm just not that kind of vegan to be like, you realize you're eating it? Like, no, but that in reality, different people have different reasons. Whatever your why is your business. But if your why means something to you, if it's strong enough, then you'll stick with it. And then you'll be like, okay, let me figure it out, right? And so for me, like I said, it was life or death. So I started having fun with it. I tried to make it fun for myself. So I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Rather, I was giving myself something new.
Gotcha.
And it's fun still.
Oh, okay. And so is the family fully vegan? Because I know.
Oh, no.
No, still not?
They were.
They were?
Yeah, Choice was vegan. My daughter was vegan with me for 3 years.
Okay.
She went back to eating fish and chicken.
Okay.
My husband was vegan with me for 2 years.
Okay.
And he went back to eating fish and chicken.
Okay.
My son Quest was never vegan.
Oh, okay. So when you cook for them, sometimes it don't call you. It don't be.
I don't cook non-vegan food anymore.
Oh, okay. So they got to make their own.
Yeah, if you want that, they know they have to order that. Okay. Everything I cook is vegan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I stopped cooking like non-vegan a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So you making the videos. God gives you the word. Start making the videos. You're making the videos. They go viral. What are you thinking as now you are becoming this internet sensation? Like, what's going through your head?
I don't even know. I just was like, this is crazy. What
are you doing when companies are starting to reach out to you, though?
In the beginning, I was trying to call my friends who had been doing like videos and stuff on social media that I knew were like very successful, because I was like, I don't even know what to ask for, how much money, what to do, and just trying to figure it out. Nobody would help me. Nobody would tell me. Oh, wow. And I was like, Lord Jesus, I don't know.
Why do you think that was?
It's unfortunate.
Jealousy.
It ain't. I don't know if it's jealousy, but I think that the unfortunate truth is in Hollywood, a lot of people are afraid to give you something, thinking it's going to take away from them.
Yeah, that's why I can't live in LA.
Listen, it's enough for everybody.
They don't get it though.
There's never a time, which is why I'm sitting right here with you today, that I don't offer myself to, if my friends call me and say, Tab, this and this opportunity has come and I've never done it before. If I have the experience, I'm gonna give them everything I got. Mm-hmm. God, He honors that, right? Like, we're supposed to look out for each other. That's why we're here together. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they didn't help me, because it just made me even more passionate about helping others. Yeah. Because I was like, man, I'll never do that. Yeah.
I'm the same way. Even like people with a smaller, like, because I do this show, people with smaller shows, if they ask me, I'm always like, even if I don't feel like doing it, I force myself to do it, because I'm like, I feel like you're sowing into
That's
other
right.
people.
Yeah, we always can sow.
Yeah.
Listen, the other thing is that we don't even know who we are going to be, right? Like, I still don't know who I'm going to be yet.
Yeah.
This is me right now, but I don't know who I'm going to become. Yeah. I don't know who you're going to become. Yeah. Right? So who you help today, tomorrow they may be the very person that helps you.
True.
So you never know who you're helping. You don't know when you're entertaining your angel honey.
I believe that.
So I always try to look out for people. But during that time, I was just like, this is insane that, I was going viral, and
What's the first deal that comes through? Like, what's the first offer and you're like, these people want me to make a seasoning?
Well, no, the first deal was Whole Foods.
Okay.
Because it started with the TTLA sandwich.
Okay.
Babe, I come to you real quick, honey, real quick. Now, I'm out here trying to work out and stuff, and then, oh, Lord, got a piece of lettuce on there. Oh, Lord, not on my new outfit. New workout clothes my husband got me. Don't matter. That's how good it is. I stopped at Whole Foods because I said, let me give me a little breakfast, right? Now, I know they be having some vegan options, but, I didn't know that in their deli, oh, my God, they got a TTLA. And that's a tempeh bacon, tomato, lettuce, and avocado sandwich. I already ate one half of it, but good God almighty, oh my God. Y'all, when I tell you, I told myself, I said I'm gonna eat half now and half later. Honey, I gotta take another bite just so y'all can see. Okay, just so y'all can see, because I'm in the car. And I said, let me just eat a little bite of it. Honey, I ate that whole half. I said, well, I'll say the other half for later. But honey, listen. Y'all, Lord have mercy. Y'all know I can't sing, but this the baby sing, Whole Foods.
So that was, I was driving Uber in 2017. I ate the sandwich on my break in my car and did a review and was telling people about the sandwich. And nobody was really watching my videos back then, but that was my first video that went crazy viral. And then 4 days later, Whole Foods reached out and were like, oh, they slid in my DM on Facebook, okay? And they were like, we saw your video, think you're amazing. We love to work with you. And I became their brand ambassador. So I went on to do several campaigns with them for the sandwich. That became like my sandwich. And then I did like all these plant-based campaigns for them in the store, whether it was for summertime, for the holidays, back to school, all those different things. So I did that for a couple of years with them.
Hey y'all, it's me, Tabitha Brown. I am here at my local Whole Foods market. Came to do me a little vegan summertime shopping. Now, I thought to myself, I said, Sarah, she said, what's going on, girl? I said, honey, I might as well take the people shopping with me so they can see what they need to get for the summer barbecue. The produce section of Whole Foods market is amazing. I mean, look at this place. Child, and they have the widest variety of local and organic seasonal products that I've ever seen. Honey, it's like we in the Garden of Eden. Is that Adam and Eve over there?
And then that opened doors for other brands and other companies to ask me to, partner with them and do different things. And so I just kept doing them. Okay, so going back to your acting, so are people now asking you because they just love who you are and they're seeing you, or are they making you come in and audition still? Oh, I still audition. Oh, okay. Now I have gotten straight offers. Gotcha. Like when I did The Chi, I was gonna say. Yeah, that was an offer. Okay. Lena knew me as an actress first. And so I'm so grateful for her because she was like, no, I know you. Gotcha. As an actor. And she knew me as an actor when I wasn't free. Okay. Right? And so, and when I wasn't free, that acting tab, she was all right. Right. But this
So wait a minute, explain when you say I wasn't free.
Because I wasn't free, so that means I was still trying to be who I thought Hollywood wanted me to be, right? So I was trying to have a certain look and a certain sound. And when you do that, you restrict yourself from playing. Now it's like, I don't care.
Right.
Now I can really be whoever I want to be in this character. I don't care what nobody think about me. I ain't trying to be cute. I ain't trying to, sound perfect. I'm gonna just give life to who, this character, and that's what it's gonna be. So when she had told me, like in general conversation, like we was on an IG Live, and she was like, we're gonna have to have you on a Shy, next season. And I was like, okay. And then when I thought it was gonna be.
You've been in LA too long to know.
I was like, all right, girl.
Sometimes that stuff come through, and sometimes it's a lie.
But I thought it would be like a cameo. Like, okay, me cooking some vegan food or something. I don't know.
Right.
Me and Emmett up in the restaurant, I'm showing her some vegan options. I don't know. But when I got the offer and it was 6 episodes, I was like, oh my God, I'm recurring.
Right.
Oh Lord. So, and she wrote it just for me.
Oh, okay.
It's like, it was such a compassionate character, Octavia was, and I was just so grateful for that. But I do still audition.
What about the Connors? Because I remember when I saw
that
you
was
on
also an offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was also an offer. Yeah.
Louise said to say thank you so much for squeezing me in.
Oh, sure. I'm just finishing up my dinner.
Yeah, you're nothing like I thought you'd be. No beaded curtains, no crystal ball, and you're not all scarfy and jangly like Stevie Nicks.
She's a doubter, Ann. Oh, well, maybe she gets that from your mother, Beverly, because I am sensing, she's a nasty old buzzard.
So, see, I think it's so. I mean, that's what blesses me is because, and I hope this is the lesson that everybody take, that being in your authentic self, who God called you to be.
Yeah.
That your gift, that is your gift, even though acting is your love and your passion, your gift is being you.
Yes.
So your gift made room for you.
Yes.
For you to be
Come on and preach.
Listen, I'll do it now. Somebody bring me some juice and a napkin. I do it. But,
yes.
I always want to preach just because they used to get juice in church.
Hilarious.
That was so stupid. But anyway, that's something stupid to talk about. But anyway, yeah. So I just think that's amazing, though, how your gift made room for you for the thing that you really wanted to do, and it brought you before all these different people.
Yeah.
So how have you handled the negative stuff that comes with it? Or do you not? I mean, people had stuff to say about you and your husband, you retiring him, and people probably try to say, oh, your accent and all these other things. I know you mentioned that in the book. How, what is your thought process when this stuff comes up? Like, do I address it? Because I'm wondering, what are you thinking?
Most times, I don't care.
Right.
And I mean, pretty much I never really care. But there are certain moments where I will address something like in a message of love, right?
Which you always do.
And understanding. But I know I ain't for everybody, and that's all right. But also, I can't allow myself to be affected or upset from comments from strangers of people I've never met.
Gotcha.
Right? I've seen like some of the worst things. I'm like, oh my God, you must be a very miserable person. And then sometimes I get very sad for those people. Especially like I was talking about this earlier, I get a lot of comments or, trolls, and they'll be like, we know you fake, you can't be that happy. Ain't nobody smiling and happy. And I'll be like, gosh, I can only imagine how sad your life must be for you to think that people can't generally be happy. And it makes me sad for them. But people don't know me personally. I can't give them the energy of getting upset. Like, you've never met me. Spend some time with me.
Right.
Like, I would love to take, a person who literally just wakes up and decides to hate on Tab and just to hate me just because I'm happy or just because of how I talk or where I'm from or that I'm vegan.
Right.
Let's go to dinner. Spend some time with me. Get to know me a little bit, right? And then place your judgment.
Right.
But, child, I don't care about them people. Look, God bless y'all.
As well you should. And they can be mad because that's what? That's their business.
Honey.
All right.
And it ain't mine.
Okay. So you have a new cookbook.
I do.
It's called Cooking from the Spirit. You don't believe in measurements.
That's right.
But is there measurements in here?
It is not.
It's not? So there's no measurement?
It's just, it's you get all your ingredients, you get the instructions, but I want you to trust yourself with it. You know what you like, and you know what you don't like. Put a little bit more to what you like in it, a little bit less of what you don't like, right? Or not at all. But it's really kind of like a guided cookbook. That's how my granny cooked, that's how my mama cooked, right? That's how I cook. You know, you put a little bit of that, in there, like so, like that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And thank you.
Look at your
yes,
family.
look at them.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, listen, every person who has tried some of my recipes, like from online, I never had measurements there either. And they always be like, oh my God, it came out so good. I'm like, that's because you trust yourself in the kitchen. So
what's your favorite recipe out of here?
I don't really have a favorite. You know, before I was vegan, people would say, what's your favorite food? And I could tell you instantly it was seafood.
Right.
Lobster. Oh, how I miss crab legs and lobster. And now that I'm vegan, I don't have one particular favorite thing.
Right.
I just be liking all the food. But I would say that, you know, because I have a lot of recipes from my childhood, and my mama's meatloaf is one of my favorite things that I used to eat. And so I recreated that and made it vegan.
Okay.
So that's in there, and that's one of my favorite things. But then, of course, I love tacos.
Gotcha.
And my jackfruit tacos are amazing.
Okay.
So that's in there, and that's one of my favorites as well.
Watching your videos was the first time I ever heard of jackfruit.
Listen, honey, until I went vegan, I had never heard of jackfruit. But honey, me and
how'd you discover it?
Because when I went vegan, I was joining a bunch of the little Facebook groups, vegan groups.
And everybody was telling
and people were like, Tab, you need to try jackfruit. And I was like, jackfruit? The first time I tried it, it was disgusting, let me tell you that. I was like, oh, y'all lied to Tab. This ain't it.
So how did it become
because
your
they
jam?
were like, because I bought it pre-made. And so in a little box, I didn't know if you're supposed to heat it up or what. I was like, this is not it. They were like, no, Tab, you got to cook it yourself. Figure out your way of cooking it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try it again. But it took me about 6 months before I tried it again.
Gotcha.
But when I did, I was like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. And we've been like that ever since.
Okay. Well, because this is behind the scenes beauty and I am a hairstylist,
okay,
I want to talk about Donna.
You know you got to talk about Donna, honey. Look at Donna. Honey. She about to
Donna is healthy.
She is healthy.
Let me tell you, Donna is fit and healthy. Now, what is your treat? How do someone get a Donna that look like yours?
Well, you know Donna got Donna's recipe, okay?
Oh, because you have your own hair care.
I have my own hair care line.
What don't you have? You got seasoning. You got the tab time on YouTube. You're acting. You got stuff in Target. Look.
Yes, honey.
Is this still going on? Can you
it's still in
this?
there, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got my business.
What's left of it.
Very good. You got pillow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you feel overwhelmed at all?
No, I got balance.
Okay.
Yep, I have balance. And when I do feel like overwhelmed, I take a break.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I'm doing too much. Take this stuff off my calendar. I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
Because I got to put me first.
Well, I'm just glad you kept me on the calendar.
Yes.
Because there are certain people that I have on the show that I have relationships with. Yeah. I have no relationship with you.
No, we got.
But we got one now.
And we got community.
Yes, we do have community.
We city neighbors.
Can I tell you, that's how sweet she is? The fact that I saw you 5 minutes at Essence Festival. I posted the picture. I put it on my Instagram. And I think you might have liked it. And I said, oh, well, at least you know who I am. Let me send her a little message. Yep. And she was kind enough. She had her wonderful Hope she said, make sure you take a picture of this, send it to Hope so she know you ain't lying. And Hope hooked it up. And she came through on her word. And that was back in August, July.
Yeah.
So, and here we are today.
Here we are.
And I'm so glad you came by.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, please come back again.
I will.
And anything else you got going on? What else we need to be on the lookout for?
I don't know. When will this air?
In probably about 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So my season 2 of my children's show, Tab Time, it'll be live by then. It should be. And then
how many episodes do you do of Tab Time?
10 episodes a season.
Okay.
And then Donna's Recipe, new products are coming.
Okay. And where can they get Donna's Recipe?
Donna'sRecipe.com.
Oh, okay.
But coming to stores near you soon. We gotta join get the email list for the announcements.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
What's your favorite product out of Donna? I mean, because I said the same thing to Kenya. I know everybody want to say all of the products, but it's got to be
right now we
product.
only have, the two that we've had, since we launched.
Okay.
Which is the Strength Oil, which is, why I created the product was because I had started to lose my hair in the back. You know how babies, you lay them on their back and their hair started to thin out. So because I had stenosis in my top of my spine from a car accident, I would have to lay flat sometime on my back and it started to thin my hair out. Yeah. And so I had been looking for different products and couldn't find anything that was completely like vegan or natural at the time because I was still on my new vegan journey. I was like, well, I don't want to just worry about what I'm putting in my body. I want to also do well about what I'm putting on my body.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my business partner, she came to me and was like, I got this idea. And I had already been trying to create a product.
Mm-hmm.
And so we created Donna's recipe. So the strength oils, we got Donna real thick and
Okay,
healthy.
all right.
And then we got the biotin gummies, which are vegan, because
Okay.
it's hard to find vegan gummies.
Right.
So those two are the products together. It's a combo.
Okay.
It's a two punch.
'Cause
Okay.
let me tell you, it is shiny.
Thank
It
you.
looks soft.
Honey, she is. She's very soft. She's very dirty right now. Though. But dirty hair be the best hair sometimes.
But it don't look it.
Yes,
It don't look like what it's
yes.
been through.
She been working these last couple of days, child.
Okay.
But yeah.
So my final question, the way I end the show, I always ask people, what do they find beauty in? What do you find beauty in?
Oh, I find beauty in freedom.
All right.
I find beauty in freedom, honey.
All right. I love it. Simple and plain. Thank you so much, Tab.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? Where can people get the book?
Oh, you can get the book pretty much anywhere: Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore. And you can find me on I Am Tabitha Brown everywhere on all social media.
She everywhere. You're going to see her somewhere.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much.
Behind the scenes beauty.